If you are a high achieving, highly anxious corporate 9 to 5 girly, there is a very high chance that you are constantly feeling like you're swimming upstream. How on earth are we supposed to eat healthy, have a clean diet, work out, work our 9 to 5, keep our house clean, know our fashion style, do all of these other things, and not totally burn out? There's no moment in time where people are going to stop asking you for things that they need. So instead, I started to focus back on what makes me feel good. How do I like to take care of myself? Self-care shouldn't feel overwhelming. It should be tangible. It should be digestible. It should be done in a way that feels so good for you. Welcome back to Organized Chaos. My name is Regan, and I know exactly what that's like. I have dealt with burnout so many times in my career. Prior to actually sitting back trying to slow down, I realized that everything had to be done with such urgency. Isla Rain, who's a holistic and integrative nutritional practitioner, and we chatted about this a couple episodes back. We chatted about burnout because so many different women deal with this. We just don't talk about it enough. Or if we do, we don't talk about really how we can slow the fuck down. The conversations that I used to have with my girlfriends were like, oh, I really need to slow down. Are you slowing down? Because I'm not going to slow down unless you slow down. There's this inherent competition that is fueled between women in this world, and I am so done with it. Every single morning now, I walk upstairs really slowly. It's my new motto now. I want to live a slow life. I open up my window. I make sure I try to get sun. I try to take those slow moments exactly where I can. Urgency is necessary at some points in life. Don't get me wrong. Our body is meant to deal with acute moments of urgency. It is not meant to deal with a fuck ton of urgency over emails, thinking that a tiger is sitting around the corner because fucking Janet from HR needs something from us right now. No, let's change the perception. You can take a breath before you feel like you need to wind yourself into this tornado that just feels like you're constantly on the verge of burnout. My heart hurts for people that are in that position because that was me. I was highly anxious, I was highly strong, I was a control freak, and I needed to take a literal chill pill. One way that I've managed to keep all of those pieces of my life together is by saying it'll get done if it gets done. It's by saying I'm going to manage my time appropriately. It's by saying I'm going to build my morning and evening routines in to the point where it feels like it supports me and doesn't drain me. There's no way you're going to get everything done. There's no moment in time where people are going to stop asking you for things that they need. No one can be that perfect. I tried to be that perfect. It's impossible to be that perfect. If you are that perfect, congratulations, but I just don't know any woman that is. So instead, I started to focus back on what makes me feel good. How do I like to take care of myself? And I hope that all of you can take some solace, can take some of these tips from this video and implement them in your own life. People are always screaming about self-care though, and it's so easy to get caught up in that hype. So what does self-care mean? It's doing what makes you feel good for where you are right now. Last year, my mental health was at a point where my morning routine needed to be over an hour and a half long. I journaled, I did yoga, I stretched, I made sure that I was calm and grounded and ready for the morning. This year, I don't have all of those needs. Last year, I was deep in the middle of sadness and grief and anxiety from losing my dad. So there was no way that I was going to be able to remember to eat, to remember to be a human being without actually doing those grounding exercises in the morning. On top of that, I was working out like 6 days a week because I had all of this pent-up energy. I had all of this pent-up anxiety that needed to be able to go somewhere. Today, I am deep in a supplement protocol trying to get rid of all of these gut nasties that I have going on. If you don't know about this, you can follow me on Instagram at regan.olsey. I'm talking a huge amount about the protocol that I'm working on, actually with Isla Rain, who I talked about earlier on in this episode. But with that, my body is moving so much slower. My body's not actually able to work out 6 days a week. I barely have the energy to work out 1 day a week these days. Instead of guilt tripping myself, I'm looking at it as, you know what? Self-care means taking care of myself for the way that I need it today, for what my mental health, for what my capacity is today, not yesterday, not 10 days ago, not last year, today. So where are you today? What do you need today? Start to build that into your self-care routines. Your self-care routine shouldn't be so rigid that it can't flex, that it can't fluctuate with what you need depending on where you are. As someone who's navigated hundreds of different life changes paired with a very healthy dose of anxiety, these are the 8 self-care tips that I've created that help me stay afloat during the hard times, and I hope they can help you in the same exact way. You can only handle so much at any given time, so take what you need and leave what you don't. Now, quick disclaimer, everyone is going to have their own opinion on how you should be living your life. They'll tell you that you need to go and buy this set of sheets if you're expected to even get a half decent night's sleep, or you need to take this supplement if you want to wake up in the morning, or you shouldn't be drinking drinking coffee, or you should be drinking coffee and shouldn't be drinking tea, or you should be doing this or shouldn't be doing that. Tell them to STFU. In this video, I am going to give you tips that helped me. You may not be at the place or the moment in time where you can go and spend money on those sheets, where you can go and spend money on those new pajamas, where you can go and work out a certain amount of time per week. That's totally fine. Take this as a general tip or a general piece of advice for how I built the balance to my life and how I'm hoping it can help you build that balance right back into your own. But you have to do it in a way that works for you and your lifestyle, and then it can ebb and it can flow depending on the different changes you're navigating yourself. Self-care tip number 1, learn about yourself. I'm starting with this one because if you don't know about yourself or you're not learning about yourself actively, there's no way you're going to be able to do any other self-care routine because you're not going to understand the why. You're not going to understand why you need it based on who you are if you're not doing the digging into you yourself alone. Your anxiety, those habits you've been trying to kick, your self-confidence, all of these will be so difficult to navigate if you just don't know yourself. If you can't find the true confidence, comfort, balance within yourself, there's no way that you are going to want to wake up at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock and do the 10-step morning routine if you're not sitting back and going, why is this going to help me? Why do I need this? What am I really trying to tackle? And what am I really trying to work on? The self-confidence, the self-love that you are looking for comes from you, babe. Doesn't come from anyone else. It comes from you. Now, I'm not going to go and tell somebody that they need to go and spend money on a therapist because I know it's expensive, but hands down, it was the best decision that I have ever made. There are therapists that will focus in on the points and the pieces that you want to focus in on, but you know where all that starts? It starts with the willingness, it starts with the openness, it starts with the excitement, the attitude about learning about you because you're worth it. Number 2, I learned this at such a young age. If I don't sleep at least 8 hours, I will be a monster. Sleep is not just falling into bed. It doesn't matter how long I sleep. If I don't actually have a dark environment, white noise, a comfortable, cool sleeping space, like all of these other pieces build in to the night's sleep that you truly want to have. I go on and on about my Aura ring. I know I talk endlessly about it, but it gives me a sleep score every single night. It tells me how much I woke up. It tells me my REM cycles. It tells me how much deep sleep I got. And all of that I can tell is affected by what I did before I went to bed, what I ate throughout the day, the type of morning that I had, my stress levels. So much more goes into your sleep than I think any of us give it credit for. I've made my room my sanctuary, and my husband will attest to this. I decided years ago that sleep was going to be an activity for me. It was going to be a moment that I gave the peace and the respect that it deserved. So I have a really big wind down routine. Most of the lights in my home are actually built into the Philips Hue light system, and I have them all on timers. Throughout the day, it's much brighter. You should have all of that really bright light in your eyes throughout the day so that your body knows it's time to wake up, it's time to be awake, it's time to be here and present. I have certain lights on in my office when I need to concentrate. And then at the end of the day, all of those lights are set on timers so they start to cool down. It means that when I'm actually ready to go to bed, it's not like I've had these bright lights shining in my face all day and then it's like, oh, time to go to sleep now. No, my body's already been primed. I'm ready for that activity. I'm ready for that moment. On top of that, I have everything in super easy access next to my bed itself. My cuticle oil, my lotion, I have my retainer that I wear to sleep at night. I have bunny treats because they know that I'm going to feed them treats before they go to sleep. I have a fan for white noise. I have a candle sometimes that I will put on. I have oil rollers that I will put on if I'm feeling particularly stressed. I have comfortable pajamas. I've made sure that my bed is really comfortable. I've made sure that I make my bed because I know that climbing into a freshly made bed is so much better than climbing into a bed when the sheets are all over the place. This is such a moment of respect for myself, and I'm hoping that you can start to implement it for you if you don't already, because as I've gone through my 20s, I've realized that that room, that bed is my sanctuary. It's my home. It's my place where I can just totally let everything go from the day. And it starts with the way that I treat myself. Just because we have to sleep doesn't mean it can't be fun. All right, number 3 is exercise. This one seems dumb and obvious because, like, of course, everyone says that you should exercise. But self-care and exercise to me doesn't mean like just, oh, go to the gym and just force yourself to wake up and go take that 8 a.m. yoga class. Sometimes it makes me feel great. Sometimes I don't want to do it and I do it anyway and then I still feel great. Sometimes though, it's just not worth it. Exercise as a form of self-care is actually looking at what do I need today? What moment am I in? Should I be pushing my body? I'm learning about my own cycle. I'm learning about when I have energy during my luteal or follicular phase. Will I have energy during my period? How do I actually function as a woman woman in the body that I've been given so that I can start to build my own workout routine around it. Right now, ain't no way you're getting me into a spin class because my body just doesn't have the energy. These supplements are taking it out of me. They are fighting off bacteria within me. So instead, I do light stretching. I move much slower. I go on walks. I try and figure out ways that are going to move my body, that are going to feel good for my body without over stressing myself. Some days you have that energy. Great. Go do it. But take a look, start to notice when you need those, when you don't, when it makes you feel good, when it doesn't. That's the kind of exercise routine that is truly one of self-care. All right, don't turn this episode off when I say what I'm about to say, but learn at least 5 different recipes that you can continue to go back to. I say that because not everyone loves to cook, and that's okay. These don't need to be complicated. They don't need to be over the top. They don't need to be anything that you don't want them to be. By learning different recipes, it's actually a huge form of self-care because it's something that, again, is respecting yourself, but it's giving you a moment to unwind. It's giving you a moment to feel like you're creating. So many of us, and especially me, I realized when I was finishing my workday working from home, this was during the pandemic, there were times where I just didn't feel like cooking. And so I would come upstairs, I would order, it would get delivered to my door, I would sit on the couch, I turn on the TV, and then like 3 or 4 hours had gone by and I hadn't done anything. And that's because I just sucked myself into this TV hole. Whereas instead, if I had actually stood up, gone and cooked, felt like I had done something that was productive, it's the same reason why I go and make my bed every single morning so I can get something checked off my to-do list. There's something really magical about being able to fuel your body with something that you know makes you feel good. It gives you control over the ingredients that you use, making sure you're not putting anything in your body that hurts. It doesn't need to be complicated. It can literally be as easy as making a taco salad. Next one, boundaries. It is okay to say no. You've heard this a million times. I'm going to reiterate it to you. It is necessary to say no. It's a huge form of self-care for me. I was terrible at boundaries at some point in my life. I was absolutely the worst at them. Anytime someone asked me to do something, yes, immediately, of course, I will go and do that for you, and I will do it to 150%, even if you've only asked for 75% of my energy and time. Today, I need to look at how much energy do I actually have to give away, because you only have so much. So if you are somebody who has a really hard time with boundaries, start practicing them. Start to prioritize yourself. Start to get comfortable setting those boundaries because they're only going to become more and more necessary as we move through our lives. As women, we don't set enough boundaries. We tell people yes far too often. When you set a boundary, it's not like someone's immediately going to come back and be like, oh yes, of course. Sometimes people don't like the boundaries that you set. Sometimes it makes them angry. Sometimes it makes them upset, but that's their problem. The most important thing is that you feel like you are comfortable in the boundary that you're setting, not them. Number 6, dedicate time for yourself. If the idea of spending any sort of time alone makes you uncomfy, this one is for you. It is time to step outside of that comfort zone, girly pop. If you are not spending time alone, you're not truly going back to point 1, learning about yourself, and you're doing yourself a huge disservice. I love nothing more than a bath alone, a face mask, a full night of skincare, self-care, sitting alone with my bunnies, doing things that make me feel oh so very good, but doing it alone. I used to hate it though. God, I remember having a full-blown argument when I was in one of my first relationships because I didn't understand why this person didn't want to spend time with me. That's how I perceived him asking for alone time. Why don't you want to spend time with me? Now that I'm 29, I've realized I don't always want to spend time with other people. I want to spend the time alone. You can learn so much about yourself. Equally, I learned so much about my own mental health when I recognized that I don't want to spend time alone. If you are a person who doesn't want to spend time alone because you're afraid of what's going on inside your own head, I've been there. I feel you. That anxiety fucking sucks. But you can move through this moment. Sitting down, journaling, listening to music, listening to a podcast. It's such a moment of respect for yourself. And I'm hoping that every single one of you can experience that moment of just absolute bliss when you're sitting alone in a bath or in a shower or in a hot tub. Okay, you don't even need to be sitting in a body of hot water, but when you're sitting alone on your couch, doing something just for yourself. Number 7, make your space your own. So I talked about how my room is my sanctuary, and it's been a space that I feel like I want to make my own constantly any place I go. But I used to dream about the time when I would have my own flat, my own home, and I would be able to put everything I wanted to in that space. Because for me, walking through the door of my home, I wanted to feel authentically me. I wanted to feel uniquely me. At every single point in your life, you're not going to be able to have all of your things around you. I traveled in 2022. We weren't able to do that. When I first graduated from university, I didn't have any money. So instead, I found small ways to make it unique and to make it feel like it was homey for me. That sense of safety is so important. And for humans, feeling like we have the things around us that make us feel safe, that make us feel at home, is just as important in building that sense of safety. No matter how small your space is, you can do the same exact thing. In my very first apartment, I spent a whole day washi taping one accent wall. It was a low-cost way for me to feel like I'm making this space mine. We were also renting the place, so it doubled as a renter-friendly apartment hack. And then today I've covered our flat in candles, in photos, in soft lighting, and things that make me feel like my space is unique. I would love to see you do the same exact thing. Number 8, and the thing that makes me feel like I am truly taking care of myself, connect with your soul sisters. Research shows that spending time with our friends and surrounding ourselves with friends significantly improves our mental and well-being, which obviously. But the nuance here is that you need to spend time with your friends no matter where in the world they are located. I have friends all over the world. I just released an episode on this, so if you haven't listened to it yet, make sure you head over to YouTube and take a listen to that episode on building and navigating adult friendships, because it's such an important piece of womanhood that I want all of us to be able to share in. But connecting with my soul sisters, sending voice notes, sitting on video chat with one another, those are the moments where I feel connected, where I feel grounded, where I feel like I can have those deep, emotional, vulnerable conversations. I feel accepted. I feel seen. I want you to surround yourself with people who make you feel like the best version of yourself. So there we have it. Those are the 8 self-care tips that helped me really survive my 20s. Please let me know if you implement any of these in your own way. Send me photos, send me DMs. I want to see it all. I want to see how you're decorating your spaces, what your sleep routine looks like, what your morning routine looks like, how you're connecting with your friends, because I am learning at the same time you are. If you found these tips helpful, make sure you share them with your fellow sisters, and make sure you subscribe for more videos on empowerment and self-confidence. I'm Regan, and this has been another episode of Organized Chaos. I will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.